Now, in cybersecurity, we often talk about levels of maturity in a particular area. With vulnerability management, we found that organizations tend to fall into one of the categories that we've defined here. Now, the basic level is where many organizations may find themselves, with no vulnerability management activity going on and having no tools to do it. No identification of vulnerabilities and therefore no visibility on the associated risks. And for these organizations, it can be a real eye opener when we first lift the lid in this area. There may be some patching going on, but we don't really know it's working. The next level up is what we call operational. So this is where an organization has a tool, not necessarily the right tool, or perhaps engages a third party on an annual basis or similar. So maybe as part of a pen test. And the trouble here is that results are often out of date or superseded by new vulnerabilities that could be more critical. They do look to ensure that patches are regularly applied. And we often see compliance as a major driver for organizations in this category. So just ticking the vulnerability management box, really. Tactical is where an organization has the right tooling for vulnerability management. They've got a plan to gain visibility and assess the risks regularly, and they can use the outcome of this to really improve and guide the patching regime. Now, those in the strategic category are really at the top of their game, not necessarily meaning that they've eliminated all vulnerabilities, but they've prioritized and they have a plan of attack to dramatically reduce the attack surface and the risks associated with vulnerabilities. So they're in a constant cycle of repeatable activity, and it's very risk driven and prioritized. There is, however, one overarching theme that I think is so critical it affects every stage in the maturity model, and that really is coverage. Your regime needs to cover all assets. This is your vulnerability management regime and your patching regime. It's no good only patching Microsoft vulnerabilities with wSOC, as much as it's no good only scanning servers, let's say, for vulnerabilities. So your tool sets need to cover all assets, your visibility needs to cover all assets, and your risk assessments will therefore cover all assets. If your tool's incapable of covering all assets, or is too manual, or is too complex, then you can run the risk of not getting the coverage you need to be effective. Automation is also important to mature up the scale. I think automation of vulnerability discovery, for example, automatically prioritizing, and automation of patching as well where possible.